in extra innings. The Red Sox send out one of their two best pitching prospects. This is Darwinzon Hernandez, and he is a fascinating guy. He's just a two-pitch guy. He's got a good fastball that moves, and he's got a wipeout slider from the left side. I mean, it is nasty. He's also got control issues. And there's some sharply divided opinion as to whether he's going to be a bullpen piece down the road or a starting pitcher. He could be. I mean, his makeup is that of a dominant bullpen guy because he's a two-pitch guy right now. If he develops a third pitch, I think he could become a very good starting pitcher. Either way, he moves up from Double-A. He did have a 2 and a third inning relief appearance, so he got his feet wet, and that was a good performance. Now he gets to start tonight. He's probably only scheduled to go 4 or 5 innings here. And the key will be, can he maintain his pitch count? I think he's got a good chance to because as a lefty who hasn't been seen by these guys and with definite swing and miss stuff, unless he kills himself with walks, I think he can shut down the Rangers. And I like the Red Sox to win this game.
Yeah, Dave, you're laying close to 170 in this game with a team that's lost 4 of their last 5 games. But I agree with you. I don't want Texas in this one. Texas has won 8 of their last 11, but you talked about Gerardo. He's pitched well, but it's a little bit misleading because he's given up a lot. A lot of guys are getting on base. He's given up hits and he's given up walks, but he's been managing to get out of it. 25 base runners in his first 18 and a third. I'm going to go ahead and look at Boston in this one.
And the Yankees were big winners, 12-5 in the opener against the Mets. They actually trailed 4-1 in that game early, but came back with a lot of thunder, 3 homers, all with men on base. Yankees win the opener. The nightcap is scheduled for a couple hours down the road. I like looking at teams to maybe get a split in a doubleheader. Kind of tough to do that here. Yeah, this Mets, they're just no good when they put the road uniforms on. I think it's now 4-18 in their last 22 road games. Can't bet on them.
Yeah, Dave, I actually was hoping that the Yankees would lose the first game, and then I would jump in on the Yankees in the second game. I agree with you, and we talked about Vargas yesterday. This was the rain out, and they didn't keep the pitchers matched up the way they were supposed to go yesterday. Vargas, we know his stats against the Yankees, but
we like the over.
Yeah,
with Vargas versus with Vargas versus who pitched the first game of the Yankees? Tanaka.
Yeah,
but not so much with Paxton on the mound.
But Paxton's not going deep. I mean, he's only given him 5 innings at best right now. We'll see what happens. I lean to the Yankees, but it's a no play for me because they did get that first win.
Eric Osterman joining us right now from Superbook USA. First time on the show for Eric, I believe, as he sits in for the vacationing Jeff Sherman. Hi, Eric. How are you?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
It's going great. Well, we got a lot to talk about, so let's get right to it. What was the betting? I want to get a betting report on what took place last night. I know I saw in the middle of the afternoon that there was a good-sized 5-figure bet that came in on the Warriors, and you guys were the first to move the Warriors as the favorite, and it lands on 1, as it turns out. I'm assuming this wasn't a great result for you guys. Was it real bad?
No, it was better than I would have thought, with the line being all over the place, like you mentioned. We actually broke about even on the game,
that's not bad.
Which, thank goodness for that. It could have been a disaster. We actually had some guys jump in on the Raptors plus 1.5, I believe, right before the game started, so that kind of even hurt us a little bit. So I know some places around town weren't so lucky with that game. And I think all of us here were just happy to kind of get out of there without anything too crazy happening.
So let's look ahead to Game 6 and where the series price is as well for the Warriors and Raptors as they move to Oakland for what will be the last game ever at Oracle.
Yeah, this morning we were Raptors minus 330 on the series price, and the game line we were at Warriors minus 3.5. We're down to 2.5 on the game, and you can see the series price has kind of moved in correlation with that. Raptors up to minus 360 for the series. Last night, speaking of 5-figure bets, we took a really sizable bet on the Raptors plus 3.5 for one of our house players. So that has pretty much set up our position for the game. It's kind of hard to get off of a bet of that size, but we're set up pretty well as far as our future book is concerned. So if the Raptors could finish this one off, I don't think anyone would be upset about it happening in 6 games.
Do you see, I mean, I'm looking at this and seeing the possibility for some sharp money to come in on Golden State to win the series. Because if they win Game 6, even though it's going back to Toronto for Game 7, I got to tell you something. It's just my opinion, but I don't think I'm alone on this. I think the Warriors mentally will have the Raptors cooked. I don't care where the series is in Game 7. So, to me, that would be the best available wager to me would be Warriors series at this point.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. When you just look at the Warriors' experience alone, in a Game 7 situation, they're going to be the more prepared team. The injuries are what they are, but you can't give up the fact that the Warriors have been in this spot before, and Raptors team having to try to win a Game 7 in front of what will probably be a crazy crowd. There's probably some value in the Warriors series price, like you said.
Eric, going back to last night, did you get a lot of Toronto action in game when Golden State, finally got out and got some separation? You know how the NBA is with runs, and we actually talked about that on the show yesterday, thinking that in-game grabbing some Toronto at a peak number would be the right way to go. Did you get any sharp action on in-play?
Yeah, we did. And it went exactly like you said. The guys that are sharp about their in-progress bets will wait and, see if a team can get out. And especially if there's a decent amount of time left in the game, you can get a pretty good price. The sharp guys were all over the Raptors in the in-progress. Had a few people taking the Warriors early in the second quarter, when they came out to their bigger lead. Some of the square guys like to lay the chalk on that situation, but we were a loser on the in-progress last night because of what you said with grabbing the Raptors plus a decent amount of points.
Well, moving to a Game 7 for hockey tomorrow night, we've got St. Louis and Boston. How's the action been coming in on this one? And it's been a great series. Yeah. And you guys been making money on the series here with the way this thing's been pinging back and forth?
Yeah, not a ton, but it's been pretty good. Anytime that you can have games like these teams are having, there's definitely some interest. Not as good as last year, obviously, with the Golden Knights or with years past. There's not a huge following for the Blues with us, but, anytime the Bruins are involved, there's going to be some attention on it. As far as Game 7 goes, we've seen some pretty even two-way action. We're trying to stay a little higher on the Bruins, Game 7 at home. We'd like to see some money come in on the Blues, but so far it's been pretty even.
U.S. Open starts on Thursday, one of the majors, and obviously all the big names are involved. Rory McIlroy was just unbelievable in the Canadian Open this past weekend, and I've got to think that is going to cause a rush for some bettors to get on him this week. What's going on as far as who's attracting the most action?
Yeah, you're absolutely right about Rory. We have seen some support come in on him since he won that Canadian, but, probably not a surprise to anybody. Tiger Woods is getting the majority of the betting attention in the U.S. Open, seeing as he won by 15 shots here back in 2000. He's actually our leader in tickets and in money. And I don't think there's any value on him at 10-1, but looking at the way that our players are betting him, somebody seems to think differently.
We took a look at these signings yesterday, just talking about them as far as how we think the teams might be impacted. But I want to know if the betting market, the future market, got impacted at all with Craig Kimbrell getting signed by the Cubs and Dallas Keuchel signing with the Braves. These are two contending teams, so they're big additions on paper. Did you see any movement as far as the numbers are concerned, or at least in terms of action on these two teams as far as pennant and World Series futures are concerned?
Let's start with the Cubs. We did move them a little bit in the World Series odds. It went from 12-1 to 10-1. That really wasn't so much about Kimbrell. That was more about their solid play lately. I got to give a shout out to our baseball guy Randy Blum. who does an absolutely amazing job keeping up on these future books. He's pretty much out in front of the public every time with this baseball stuff. He really doesn't think, and I think the majority of us don't think, that a closer or even a starting pitcher affect the future book market all that much. It may start to pay dividends for the Cubs, who definitely need to start closing out more games. But adding a player like that, especially at this point in the season, isn't really going to affect the future book a whole lot. Now, as far as the Braves, we've positioned ourselves to need the Braves since the beginning of the season. So them adding Keuchel is good. We're a winner on the Braves in our future books. So to see them make a move like that was definitely positive.
One other thing, nobody really thinks the Texas Rangers are the best team in the American League, okay? No. But we all know if you just get to the playoffs, then even a long shot has some real value at that point, because you can do hedging. There's all kinds of things you could do. The Rangers are the wild card team right now, second wild card of the American League. The Red Sox, look, maybe they'll turn it around, but it really is starting to look like they're kind of an 84, 85 win team. So are the Texases of the world, or these teams that have longer odds and have a chance to get to the wild card, are they starting to maybe get some, not sharp money, so to speak, but just some money that could create a liability?
Yeah, we can just use the Rangers as an example. That's a good one. Back a couple of weeks ago, you could have had them at 500, even 1,000 to 1. And we do see that happen quite a bit, especially with baseball. When you get a team like the Rangers that can score runs, that can string a couple of games together, guys will pop in a $50 bet, a $100 bet here and there, just looking for that situation like you were talking about. Maybe this team gets to the playoffs and I'm sitting with this ticket in my hand, and that gives me all kinds of options going forward. So I don't think the Rangers are for real.
No, neither do I.
Know if I don't think their pitching is going to get them anywhere, but exactly like you said, perfect example at the very beginning of the season, people were coming in on the Mariners. That didn't really work out so well, but it definitely happens, and especially in a long season like this, if you can grab yourself a team with a decent offense at some higher odds, then you can put yourself in a pretty good spot, come the playoffs.
Eric, on Saturday, we've got a fight in town. We've got Fury versus Schwartz on Saturday. Fury, a huge favorite. Anybody buying a long shot off of the recent upset shocker with Ruiz and Joshua?
You know what? They are. We're actually down to 12 to 1.
Wow.
On Schwartz. Yeah.
Wow.
We opened 15 on him, and let me double check, but I saw something interesting earlier. Yeah, we still have 0 straight bets on Tyson Fury. Now, we do have some parlay bets with him, but every straight bet that's come in over the counter and on the app so far have all been on Schwartz.
I knew that was going to happen. Just because of what happened in the Ruiz-Joseph fight, it's people like, Ruiz-Joshua. It's like, see, they get a shot. I don't think Schwartz has a prayer against Fury, but, look, anything can happen, and you got a price like that. That's your lottery ticket bettors who are going to go in there and throw $20 on or $50 in. Why not, right?
Yeah, exactly, and that happens a lot too with the heavyweight bouts. One punch from one of these guys can knock somebody out. Somebody gets lucky with a clean hit to the jaw, and all of a sudden you're cashing a long shot ticket and you look like a genius.
And all this stuff is available on the app, along with anything else you want to find. I mean, you've got matchups in the U.S. Open, the standard baseball, basketball, hockey, NFL, college football stuff. I mean, you guys are just loaded on the app, and it's the easiest way to bet, and it's a cinch to get signed up for.
Yeah, and you mentioned the U.S. Open. We have 100 props, and we did 80 matchups. You don't want to be sitting in the book looking at a piece of paper trying to write down notes. You got your app there right next to you. You can do your handicapping. It just makes everything so much easier.
And by the way, if you haven't signed up for the app yet, while you're there, you may as well sign up for the Super Contest. Understand there's already over 500 entries, so we're on a record-breaking pace, let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I'll consider myself as one of the skeptics when we started taking signups early for the Super.